Humidus podcast.
Welcome, beautiful listener, to the Humidus podcast once again, with Hammer and Staff, of course.
Here we are, once more, and the world has changed since last time.
Has it?
Well, at least in terms of our podcast, since the last video got a lot of traction comparatively, and a lot of you guys commented and, filled in some details that we weren't aware of, and really appreciate it because we learned a lot about the universe from this as well.
Mm-hmm. It was beautiful.
Yes.
It was beautiful. But on today's podcast, we're gonna do another movie review, basically. And it's quite a different category.
Yeah.
It is Free Guy.
Yes.
On Disney Plus.
Should be in the cinemas as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Want to do the spoiler-free start stuff?
Yeah. Same format as last time. Start with like general thoughts and stuff. Keep it spoiler-free, and then we'll go into discussions after.
Yeah, we'll try it.
We'll signify when that happens. But yeah, so it's another Ryan Reynolds movie.
Mm-hmm.
He does some strange things every now and then because he's really great in Deadpool and most things he's in, honestly. But then you get stuff like Six Underground, which seemed very trash to me, or mediocre at least. And then you have this movie, which I don't know if it's not a bad movie. It's pretty decent. It's decent. It's some very mindless fun with some very cringe moments.
Yeah, we'll get into that later.
Yeah, but I think it's fair to say that Ryan Reynolds carried this movie.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, some of his supporting cast as well, like his buddy. But yeah. Anyways, what do you think?
It's probably just the same as you. I mean, it's got a 7.4 at IMDb and an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, 62% Metacritic. Yeah. So, I mean, that's actually quite decent.
Yeah.
And I would probably rate it a little bit lower, but it's like a sit through. You can definitely get some entertainment here.
Yeah. Some
very cringy moments. But it depends on who you are and what your perspective is, of course.
Yeah. This one caters to a younger audience for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What did you think made that the most apparent to you?
I don't know, because some choices here are confusing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that some of the cameos and like some of the humor plays into almost like a nostalgic older gamer.
Yeah.
But then it's very apparent that this is not catered to older gamers like myself.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's a little bit hit or miss, but you can clearly see like GTA Online and like Fortnite inspiration all over the place.
Yeah, so maybe we should actually do the premise first.
Yeah.
I never got to that. So it's Ryan Reynolds plays this character in the video game just called Guy, and he is computer control, or like an NPC, which is a non-player character for those who don't know, and it's essentially just one of those AI characters in the game, and he is this background character in this what do you call it, like city playground for players to just wreak havoc and just steal cars and blow shit up and just do whatever they want. So yeah, like you said, it's similar to Grand Theft Auto Online, but with some very old school arcadey Mario Kart type upgrade stuff and some very wacky stuff.
Yeah, there's like, you have to suspend disbelief. I mean, because there's so many inconsistencies, and I like to be nitpicky.
Yeah.
But I'm trying not to be, because it will just be boring for you guys to listen to, because I've got like a billion points. But yeah, you just gotta take it for what it is and try to enjoy it without all the inconsistencies. Like even in universe, huge inconsistencies.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, like you said, it's like an online video game called Free City, where you basically just go around and murder and have fun, you know.
Yeah.
Cater to the base instincts in the human form.
Yeah, and this is the case with these kind of games, especially, with GTA Online as well, where it really just brings out the worst in humans.
Yeah, it's basically chaos. And they try to represent that also in the movie. You see, like, fucking cars and grandmas flying all over the place, and explosions and...
jet planes and... people, like 50 cal Humvees with pink zebra stripe patterns, but I think they got that part down. It did.
Yeah, absolutely.
It did look. I really got the feel that this kind of looks like GTA 5 to some extent.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so they nailed that look, and I think that they tried to give it that humorous spin with that as well, that people can relate to. So that's like a good thing. They had a lot of gamey elements that were put in there to be like, yeah, that's relatable to gaming.
Yeah, and then Ryan Reynolds' character realizes, because he and the other NPC characters, they just kind of go about their routine, and then
they don't care.
Yeah, and they get robbed and killed and beaten around like on a daily basis, several times a day, and by players, but then the players are referred to as the glasses people.
Yeah.
And the glasses people means that essentially whatever game screen players have that shows their statistics and all that stuff, it's supposedly tied to these glasses that the characters wear, which is also very strange to me.
Yeah, but right. That's like the first major inconsistency. It's like,
yeah, your HUD is tied to glasses. But the funny thing is, so Ryan Reynolds' character guy, he manages to steal one of these glasses, and then suddenly he sees whatever a player sees. So he has all the level up screens, and he has the abilities and see all the missions and see what they see. And then he just kind of goes off the rails and start being a good guy, stealing weapons and rescuing other NPCs from the players and leveling up that way. And it goes deeper than that, but the premise itself I thought was kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie, it was an interesting premise.
Yeah, it's a cool concept, and so like at first it seems very weird that like an NPC should be able to develop like an autonomous intelligence by himself.
Yeah, like self-awareness even.
Yeah, he's completely like self-aware basically. So but it is explained later on. So but it's still not to like any scientific degree at all.
No. Yeah, you
it's
don't
like
expect
just
that
thrown
here.
in there. Yeah. So don't be like overly critical when we're viewing this movie, because it's
But
so basically it's about this guy discovering himself and his world, and there's another plot line that we follow kind of outside of the game world.
These two programmers.
These two programmers. And now we're getting into like the spoilery section, so maybe we should, I don't know, just summarize. Would you recommend this movie to the people out there, stuff?
I mean, I can talk quickly about what worked and what didn't work without going to spoilers. What works was Ryan Reynolds. I thought he was funny. He because it seems like he just writes his own dialogue lines, that he just says it on the spot almost. And because he has that typical Ryan Reynolds humor, he's very quick-witted and all that, it works.
Yeah, it does work.
And some of his faces in this were fucking hilarious.
Yeah, especially the faces are hilarious. I actually noted that on my little sheet here.
Yeah.
That was like one of the better parts. One of the more funny parts for me was the faces that Ryan Reynolds did. So very good, like humorous, practical acting there.
So that worked. His chemistry with most of the characters worked well. With his trusted friend, the cop buddy, I really liked that. And
Yeah.
And you know,
that security guard. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of the things surrounding Ryan Reynolds worked for me. A lot of the stuff outside did not, like the villain by Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
He was the. I mean, okay. I'm gonna go out on a limb here. If this movie was made a couple of years ago, I would have been like, this is like such hyperbole, like a very exaggerated parody villain. But now with all the allegations about the toxic culture at Blizzard, at Riot, where they fart in each other's faces and stuff, I'm like, well, you know, actually, the more you look into this, I mean, this guy looks like the kind of guy that would fart in people's faces.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they're going for, I think. It's like, we can get into that a little bit later in the spoiler review, but there are like a lot of modern elements of society thrown in there as well. So would you recommend this movie? Is it like, what, on a scale from 1 to 10? Is it
I'm gonna give it a 6.
Yeah, that's it for me too. I'm not quite in agreement with 7.4.
No,
it's not absolutely not a bad movie, but it's not a good movie either. It's just an average movie. It has its moments.
Yeah, it has its moments, but I think there are several things you could do to make this movie shine more.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, we can.
All right.
I guess it's very hard to talk about what works and doesn't work in detail without going into spoilers. So I guess we just
let's go into spoilers.
Yeah. So spoilers now. You have been warned.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just start off with the timeline here. You're kind of thrown into the movie where Guy, the Ryan Reynolds main character, his name is Guy, starts to narrate, you know, like, this is his city, blah, 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 and you kind of get this action montage where one of the heroes, one of the players, kind of goes on a fucking spree, you know, cars, weapons, explosions everywhere. And it basically ends with like a huge car crash where and Guy says, like, see what I mean? A hero. That's like his idea of a hero, which actually is, it's kind of clunky and weird, but it does establish like his or the NPC's like perspective on their world.
Yeah.
They don't really care about, you know, any of the havoc that the players cause. That's just, they go about their everyday and their routines, which they follow like in a loop every day. And immediately there's like a Halo Scorpion tank cameo.
Yeah.
Like, so you get that, okay, there's gonna be cameos, there's gonna be like hints and stuff to gamers all over here.
Yeah. Not as much as the Ready Player One, though.
No,
not even close. Don't expect that
So
here.
so Guy works in a bank, and he is robbed daily. The bank is robbed daily. That's like part of the routine. That's one of the missions. So he wakes up, goes to work, drinks a coffee, which is I can't even remember what, but it's the same type of coffee that everyone drinks in the game.
Yeah, and the only one the barista is programmed to make.
Yeah, so she can't give, you know, any other variety. It's just a one coffee.
Yeah, and then at the same time, you're also introduced to the programmers, which is like Keys and Millie.
Yeah,
and you get the sense that they have done like some kind of like they're genius programmers, like prodigies, and they created this super special kind of code and game that this Riot Games CEO stereotype, fucking head of Blizzard kind of douchebag played by Taika Waititi. He was like, you know what? I'm gonna take that and I'm just gonna build a shitty mobile, that's how Mafia works kind of GTA. Like, it's just a shit version of GTA. On top of that,
it's a shit version of GTA, basically. And so we get this little backstory where you, like you said, these are indie developers, Keys and Millie, and there's like an ongoing lawsuit between Millie and and Antoine,
Yeah, that's
which is like the main villain in this movie. And she's suing him for stealing their code from their indie game that was, ingenious, and for using it in his game without, any fiscal compensation.
Yeah.
But the thing is that Keys, the other guy, her former partner, is actually working for Antoine, which is a little bit weird. But yeah. So that's how that is.
Because he was more like he just buried it in a way. He got slapped with like NDAs and all that, and
he just wanted to live.
Yeah, he's afraid of standing up for himself and being unemployed and all that. So
so there you have like the two parallel worlds or trains that we're gonna follow. And immediately there are huge like discrepancies between logic and this movie. The first one being that you have to wear the glasses in game for the interface to appear, but you're playing it through a 2D monitor. Basically like you would play any other computer game.
So does that mean that when they remove your glasses, it just becomes like no HUD mode?
Yeah, basically. I don't know. It's not explained.
No, it's not.
Or do you kind of lose every power that the player has by not having the glasses on?
I don't know.
Not quite explained. It seems very weird to have that in the game, but yeah, that's how they explain how like the powers are transferred to Guy, I guess. And the realization that he can also now be like a player in the game.
Yeah.
So why does this guy develop artificial intelligence stuff?
Or like self-awareness?
Self-awareness, yeah.
Because the code that the indie developers made are the foundation for this shitty GTA clone that Antoine slapped on top of it. And this code they thought to be lost, but then it was kind of like they developed the potential for the AIs to become self-aware and evolve and learn and become autonomous, and that's what happens. And Guy is the first one to notice, so he turns into a self-aware video game character.
AI, basically. The first AI ever.
The real AI,
Yeah, generalized AI.
But then there were also signs very early on, honestly, that the others are too. It's just they haven't realized it, kind of. Like for example, how if this was an NPC in a proper game, they have very scripted things that they say. But here he's like having conversations, dynamic conversations with his buddy and stuff like that, and
off screen basically from the players.
Yeah, exactly. So it's they're just not aware that they're stuck in a loop, and then
like one of the points of it being not realistic is just that I mean all the characters are basically to some degree artificial intelligences. They respond to stimuli very accurately, and they have concepts of almost everything in their world that they can kind of interpret and use. And even though they don't have like a full understanding of like a human being would interact, they still are able to interact and able to understand. So they, like you said, basically they all have a certain artificial intelligence from the get-go.
And then Guy meets this girl that he, for some reason, this avatar of a player that he's very drawn to. And he experiences that as love. And this is Molotov Girl that is actually the character of Millie, the girl who was a developer who also has the lawsuit against Antoine. And she's trying to find traces of that hidden code that could also make the lawsuit go through.
It's basically like some players wall hack or something that accidentally like saw pieces of the code, and it's a recording of that is even more meta, kind of kept inside the game, which is very weird, but yeah.
It's pretty strange.
Yeah.
But you know, it works for I guess in this universe, in their world, games work differently. That's all I can.
Yeah, you have to kind of establish something like that.
Because if you do that, it gets a lot easier to digest.
Yeah. So yeah, okay. So first off, we Guy goes chasing after Millie, or Molotov Girl in the game, and she basically thinks that he's another player, because he acts like another player, and he is level 1, and there are like references to him being a noob and not understanding, so they just brush him off.
Yeah.
And she says basically, you better level up if you want to kind of hang with me, because you're way under leveled here. And that's what he does.
Yeah, by non-lethal means.
Yeah, by non-lethal means. So
he's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy, and he doesn't understand why you should have to be brutal.
Yeah.
So he tries to, and he successfully also does level up by non-lethal means.
Yep.
We get this montage here, which is, fun enough.
Yeah, it's fun, yeah.
To kind of see a lot of action scenes and how he levels up in a clumsy and good guy way.
Yeah.
And we also see that he kind of gets traction on social media because he gets known as the blue shirt guy.
Yeah.
Because he has a blue shirt, and
he doesn't wear some kind of outrageous kind of clothing and apparel and stuff, and apparently it's not possible for players to wear the same clothes and outfits as the non-player characters. So that's why they keep thinking that Guy is a hacker that stole.
That he's basically found some loophole to be able to use that skin.
So so he's disguising himself as they think he's disguising himself as an NPC to mess with people.
Yeah.
And do you also find it funny how when they're supposed to like ban him, that Mousy and Keys, like these two developers are called?
Yeah.
With
yeah, that was the dumbest thing.
Yeah. So Mousy is this suck-up guy who is also kind of the friend of Millie and Keys, but then he's also a real suck-up to Antoine, the CEO, and then him and Keys, Mousy and Keys, mouse and keyboard, blah blah blah, and then they're like, you know what, we're gonna ban him, but we're gonna go in there and chase after him and outskill him first and kill the player character, and then we're gonna ban him. It's like, why?
Yeah.
And why do you let him escape and all that? If you're the admins, just frickin'. And there's like, oh, I'm gonna activate God mode up in this shit, and then they're in this high-rise building, and then they make the ground floor just like fly up after him and stuff. I'm just like, this is so. What is this?
So unnecessary. That's not how you work. That's not efficient. And like you said, the moderators should be able to have tools to quickly identify that this is not a player, and like, okay, so he's not a player. What is he? He's part of the program. It should be much more easy, and they should never have developed like a routine where they go in, so to speak,
to kill the player.
Yeah, and kill the player? What?
Yeah. Imagine if that's how it worked in Warzone and the other multiplayer games.
Yeah. It comes like a Terminator dropping from the fucking drop pods, starties rushing out, killing everybody.
Yeah, with their own name hacks.
Yeah.
I mean, they took a lot of liberties here just to have an action scene. And the action scene itself, I thought, was fine. There wasn't anything wrong with
it. Yeah, it's okay. It's not bad. And the God mode, where they're like the building kind of builds itself as a stair for them, is definitely like a Fortnite thing. But like you said, I mean, the abilities that players seem to have in this game actually almost exceeds that. That's not really God mode in this game.
No, because God mode usually just means that they're invulnerable.
Yeah, that you can never die from anything. So it's like, what? That's not even... God mode would be like just to fucking delete him away. Boom, he's gone,
But, where were we at before that again?
So he's now kind of... He's going after Millie. He wants to help her retrieve because he's so in love. retrieve the like glitchy recording
thing,
or whatever, which is also like stored in some player's safe house
for some reason. And this is
for some reason, and that's Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum.
Yeah, it's I'm sorry, Tatum, Tantrum.
It's Channing Tatum.
Yeah, and Channing is he's like the player, but the guy playing this player is, you know, like an old typical gamer living in his mom's basement or whatever at his mom's house.
Yeah, making a stereotype.
Yeah, but Keys and Millie, their characters are just like them, you know.
Yeah.
And Mauser as well, which is like also not explained. Did they do like a scan of themselves or something? I didn't think about that
actually. That's true.
Yeah, and like we see other examples where players are, you know, small young girls and play as like tattooed up jacked men, stuff like that. And about that scene with the girls, it cuts to like a scene where an older sister or with a younger sister sits in front of a computer and playing this game.
The one with the just smoke his man, just smoke.
Yeah,
his
yeah,
ass.
and they're, you know, like really cool, talking to each other like, yeah, could just fucking smoke his ass. But on the desk beside them, there is a stack of Xbox 360 games for some reason. Did you notice that?
No, I didn't. So does this mean that it actually takes place 20 years ago?
Yeah, it basically does. But I think it was like Dark Souls or something on top of the. You know, I mean, they could have been, you know, playing Xbox 360 in parallel with this.
To be fair, I'm gonna make a point to that, which is okay. So there are two different perspectives here. Mm-hmm. So one is that when you like see things inside the game the way the guy and the other NPCs see it, it's like it's like, you know, real life, right, to them. But sometimes you get to see the game from a player's perspective, from the outside, where you see it's 3D, and that looks so fucking bad.
Yeah,
it looks super shitty. It looks worse than a 360 game. It looks like those really bad mobile game commercials with those really scummy trash games, like the Mafia City one. The one that created all the memes stuff, you know.
That one,
all of those,
yeah, but it almost looks like just a filter, you know, that some kind of filter was placed over it to look more game and cartoony.
It looks terrible, to say the least. I think
so. Maybe it is like in the past, but then why is Antoine such a toxic big developer guy? You know, which, I mean, I don't know where. Culturally, what kind of inspiration did Antoine come from? You know, he basically looks like he's like a Paris fashion icon on LSD. He's got like a jacket, which is two jackets in one. And he's 40 years old, and he's just come from Burning Man.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, he's like, I don't know who is this dude. You know, he's some of him is like a California, I guess, free spirited, but also like techie guy. You know, like social media type character, but also he is a toxic, like big games developer boss, which is very weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's kind of like. Apparently, this is how the executives at Riot Games are, and where I mean, this. If this was supposed to be in the past before this toxicity came to the, my theory is that even back in like 2006-07, they still farted in their faces. So you know,
of course. It was just hushed. You just have to accept it.
Yeah. Inhale the methane. The methane is part of you.
It'll make you stronger. Yeah, but it's for me, it's a little bit. I mean, unbelievable. Everything in this movie is over the top and unbelievable. But that is supposed to be in the real world. You know, it's like it doesn't seem right at all. But yeah, that's just me. So moving on in the plot. one thing which was also weird, was that he kind of accepted that he was an NPC very fast. It was like, you're an NPC. Oh, it was almost like that, you know.
Well,
it should be like an earth-shattering realization.
Yeah, I think that they did justify this a little bit with when he had the heart-to-heart with his other NPC buddy, the cop.
Yeah, of course.
Buddy, they had this existential conversation that was
actually really good.
Yeah, it was surprisingly wholesome. I was like, huh.
I wrote that down. The philosophical. They have like a really deep about like existence. You know, the conversation between Buddy. So Buddy's his security guard best friend.
Yeah.
And he actually has like a home. As well as Guy, you know, they have their own apartments that they go back to every day. So Guy goes to Buddy, and he goes to his apartment, and they have like this. He tries to explain to him the concept of not being real, you know, just being an NPC. And he brings up a very good point, which is, does that really matter? You know, it's a philosophical question almost, because, you know, as long as you have like a happy existence where you are content, does it really matter if it's real or not? You know?
Yeah, and
does it have any effect?
Yeah, and it's all relative, and the fact that he appreciates the moment that they share right then and there, and when he is helping out his friend who's in distress and stuff like that. That makes it real enough for him, you know, and that is a good point. If AI were capable of doing that, then I think that's that would have some scary implications.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So moving on from that, which was a very good scene, I think.
Yeah.
Because there are like drops of this, you know, because it's a little bit philosophical to have, you know, when does something become sufficiently intelligent to kind of be regarded as we regard other human beings, you know?
Yeah.
Which is a very tricky question. Where does the line go? Even with animals, where does the line go? You know, we treat animals like they're, like some animals we treat them like they're basically meat robots. But others, and especially now later in like the 21st century, the concept of animals being on like a scale compared to humans, you know, that they're also intelligent to some degree, and that they have feelings and emotions, and to basically dominate them and enslave them and kill them for food, like a system of that is maybe immoral, you know, you could argue that. And that they kind of touch on that a little bit here as well. Just a little bit, because it is an action comedy, so. And
it is also for you know, when they said that it was PG-13, usually I take that as an indicator of the level of violence and the level of degeneracy they show there. But actually, in this movie, it was also just an indicator for the demographic, the target demographic here.
It was, and they did have a cum sock reference in there. So
oh yeah, they did, didn't they?
There's that.
That was like, oh no. I mean, I think everything that had to do with that character, the guy who was Channing Tatum's player.
Yeah.
I don't know. He was like, it was really fucked up.
That was kind of. First of all, 22. His mom complains about him being 22 and living at home and playing games. I mean, that he still got 8 good years.
Yeah, right. I think that's not really that uncommon here in Norway. Especially.
No, it's not uncommon, especially like with the economy and stuff like that nowadays, and how hard it is to kind of break free from that, you know, economic situation that young people and the expectation of just being well educated, you know, and all the economic hassles that entails.
Yeah.
So 22 living at home, well, yeah, maybe it's not ideal, but that's not really like an unusual thing anymore.
Yeah, it's
I
not an
think.
indicator of failure anymore.
No, no.
A lot of
And
different things can happen.
and the guy looks at least 30. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true.
to me it does.
But then again, um, you know, an example of this would be something like my situation, where
Mhm.
I stayed at home working after high school while to save up money, and then when I was 21, I went to Japan to do university, right, for 4 years,
Yeah.
and then a half year at the embassy. Then I came home to save up a little bit more money before going to grad school. Then the pandemic happened, and at this point now, I'm still applying for grad school. The pandemic is barely over in Norway, if you can call
Yeah.
it that. And currently, I'm 28, and I have lived
it's-
outside, but I'm still back here for a little while, and that doesn't really mean anything.
No, it doesn't really. And I mean, that reference comes from like the boomer generation almost, where you
Sorry,
can,
boomers.
Yeah. I mean, we're almost regarded as boomers nowadays, but
Yeah.
we're not. Trust me. But the thing is that the boomers, they had like a very strong economic impulse, where during their lifetime it was always going up, and they could afford housing on like usual like blue collar jobs. You were able to get your own house and your own place to live.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different now. I mean, housing, for instance, in Norway, we have like very good salaries and stuff, but the housing, the market is insane. It's so expensive. It's ridiculous. It's like, for me to buy a family home, it's basically $1 million.
Yeah.
No joke. It's $1 million. And it's not like when you hear the phrase $1 million home, you think like, yeah, that's a luxury home. No, it's just a regular ass house. Bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
crazy.
so yeah, it's crazy nowadays. But
Yeah, this character was disgusting, and there were so many things about
and the
him.
cum suck reference. What do you think about that?
I thought it was a little bit.
Did
like,
you have a cum sock, Steph? Did you
No.
ever?
All right.
No.
I can honestly say, hand on my heart,
Mm-hmm.
I never did.
No, it was a cum blankie.
I mean, like,
It was the blankie.
no. It's just like, I mean, you
No.
just use tissue paper. It's
Yeah.
or whatever.
Of course.
You know?
I mean, yeah.
The
yeah.
sock is like, I don't know, man. That sounds
The
so
sock
foul.
is like the most lazy. Do you remember the meme Bachelor Frog
Yeah.
from way back when? Yeah, that's like the epitome of cum sock.
I mean, this character was the foul bachelor frog, essentially.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And just Channing Tatum's performance as well was so on point with that fucking disgusting behavior.
Yeah, it was cool. That I liked. I mean, touches like that was on point. It was very Fortnite-y,
Yeah.
the dancing and all that.
Yeah, that was pretty. Yeah, I felt a little bit older when I saw that, and also all the creators, the YouTube creators and the streamers and stuff that showed up there, that did not work for me at all. I feel
No,
like that was
no.
definitely for younger. But by the way, I mean,
It was
people
like Pokimane and a couple of real streamers that were featured.
yeah, and then you have someone like Jacksepticeye, which his content is good usually. I don't mind it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think his delivery was okay in this. He seemed believable enough. Pokimane,
Yeah.
no, not so much. Not so much Pokimane.
No. But I mean, these people aren't actors. So.
no, they're not.
So, but I think that, like, generally, Jodie Comer, which was Millie, she's like a good actor. I've seen her in Killing Eve, and I think her performance was good. It's just that it's not easy to play like a good character when it's written like that.
No, yeah, I think they did what they could with what they
Yeah.
had.
It's not through a fault of the actors, I feel.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though some of the performances were like, meh.
And then eventually, to proceed with the timeline, it ends up with Millie discovering or like falling in love with a guy or the player and the
Yeah.
personality and
Yeah,
then,
because he's non-toxic.
you want to. Yeah, exactly. And the funny thing is, there's a bit of an irony here that I found, which is that she found it really weird that her her avatar kissed Guy, and that was like really weird and stuff. And but here's the kicker. Here's the double hit kicker. Then right after, Keys comes in and tells her that Guy is an AI that has become self-aware, which essentially means that it's their old code that has developed and that it worked.
Right.
And then she's like, "Oh, kissed an AI and stuff." I'm like, bro, you literally have a Mass Effect sticker on your laptop.
Yeah. That's
I mean, is that really that weird?
You don't like that type? Yeah, that was. I totally agree. I mean, the scene where she thought like the kissing was weird.
Yeah.
I mean, what, you're playing this game which is basically, has almost hookers in it. It seems,
Yeah.
And like Mass Effect, it's like the best dating sim out there, yo.
Well, in a way, yeah.
Do everything.
Yeah, and I mean, it's essentially a very story-driven game where you can have romance options with with other characters, and it's also done aliens in a mature way. And like, people have their favorite characters that they sort of bonded with in these games from BioWare and all that, like with Mass Effect and Dragon Age and such. And when she has the sticker from Mass Effect, which is famous for this, and then she's like, "Oh, it's so weird to kiss an AI." I'm like, I mean, but no, come on, man.
Yeah, it's like an inconsistency in like what they're trying to present her, like an indie developer, hardcore gamer girl.
I find it very hard to believe that she has never...
That she would find that weird. Yeah, and especially like she's sitting alone in her...
And she's RPing, she's role-playing, right? So I mean,
she's RPing. I mean, this is what you should enjoy.
Yeah, and then
if you're a hardcore gamer.
Yeah, and then she apparently like felt that she was really in love with this character, and because she thought it was a player, but then it kept going even after she discovered it was an AI. And then the whole kicker is that, of course, to make him seem believable, it was actually Keys developed him based on his own feelings for her, and that's why it works.
Yeah.
But okay, I have a suggestion for an alternative title for this movie. Genius.
Suck.
No, that's the that's the bootleg version. That you buy from the shady guy down the street that says he torrented it off of LimeWire.
Yeah.
But no, it's essentially genius gamer girl gets genius programmer gets cucked by Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. That's basically it, because he is cucked by the AI.
Yeah, by Ryan Reynolds himself. And then the stupid thing is that like he eventually has to tell her like, no, this isn't right. Like, you should do whatever you want to do, but I am based on out there is the real guy. I'm just a projection of his will. Blah blah blah. But then and then she's suddenly
I'm 40
just like,
years old, and you're 22.
Yeah.
Like,
and then she's also like, oh yeah, actually, I should not be in. Oh yeah, now that you mention it. Oh,
I should be like engaging in.
I guess you're the actual this guy. Let's. Let's see.
Totally, that scene was like, and first she totally rejects Keys. This is like when everything's worked out in the end, and she's like, "Nah, fuck you, Keys." He's like, "Do you want to grab a coffee?" And then Ryan or Guy kind of tells her that no, you should be with me. You should be with out there in the real world. And then she kind of. She realizes, I have feelings for Keys, basically. Yeah,
that's
right.
Dumb. It's like, all right, I can't have Ryan Reynolds. I mean, you're not Ryan Reynolds, but you're the next best thing that's within 500 meters of me.
Yeah, basically. So
I felt that was a little bit dumb.
It was very dumb, but there are a lot of dumb things in this movie. I mean, to get back to the timeline here, they are now trying. Yeah, they're trying to, so they've realized that life itself, the old game or the old code or whatever that Keys and Millie developed back in the day is still in the game. And that's the reason why, they can have true AI. And Antoine basically wants to delete all the content of Free City by upgrading it to like Free City 2 when there's like a new game in the pipeline.
Right.
And somehow he's gonna like hard delete every line of code from the old game, which only exists on the servers. Yeah. It's like, yeah, okay. So to save their creation, Millie and Keys now need to kind of prove that life itself, their old game, still exists within Free City to win the lawsuit, or I mean to kind of stop Antoine from releasing the Free City 2 game and, you know, to expose him. So that's what they're trying to do. And it somehow Guy has in like the sunshade on his on his window, he has discovered like some kind of vision of the life itself, that it's out beyond the city, you know, in the sea somewhere. Not quite explained, but yeah, sure. So they're kind of rallying all the other NPCs that are, you know, AIs as well, to help them find this life itself code represented as like a paradise island.
Yeah, that was their original game without violence.
Yeah, but they can't, and they're trying to stop, you know, Guy by just kicking all the players out and stuff, but he's not a player, so he can go on.
Yeah,
and they can't stop him.
He rallies
somehow.
all the NPCs.
He rallies the NPCs,
So
and now Antoine recruits Mauser to kind of use the environment to kill Guy.
Yeah.
You know, to collapse the environment, and then
Inception
Keys is like sitting in the bathroom with his laptop and trying to anti-hack that process, which is very cringy. Oh,
I mean, this was kind of like imagine if like this was a Minecraft obstacle run with one admin doing detrimental effects while another admin was trying to prevent and help the player instead. This is kind of what that feels like, because he just builds a ramp while the other guy is just like making the buildings try to squeeze him, and then I mean it was
and why
how stuff
if you
works.
No, I mean if you were to do that, which is a weird way to do it, to use the environment of the game. I mean, if you can manipulate the code of the game like that, then you can manipulate the AI as well, you know. But okay, so he collapses. Why not just collapse the entire city in 1 millisecond?
Yeah.
Why do you have to do it like sequentially? So
it was why so slow?
Possible to, it's so like deliberately done to make him being, you know, able to get away.
Yeah, it's kind of like he's being an admin means that you're kind of like a demigod in the inside the world, instead of you actually having the ability to just delete things and
but yeah, so inconsistencies aside, they're now trying their best to get to this life itself island, and then they load in this guy
that Antoine sloppily half coded.
Do you want to take this?
So they this was one of my favorite parts of the movie. I'm not gonna lie.
This was a cool part.
I love this part, which essentially Antoine just half-assedly created this super version of Guy called Dude. Who's essentially just this super roided up guy with half intelligence that has Ryan Reynolds' face. It's like this bodybuilder, massive bodybuilder with Ryan Reynolds' face deep faked onto him. And it's one of the best things I've ever seen.
It looks so weird, but so good.
I know. And he has like everything being so lazy is really shown in that, you know, he doesn't have a programmed catchphrase, so he just says catchphrase. And he has like stuff like insert third reason here. You know, it's basically code that's not finished. Like friendly greeting.
Stuff like that.
And he nails it. Like both the body actor, the bodybuilder, and Ryan Reynolds.
Aaron.
He's fucking funny. And if they ever make a Johnny Bravo live action movie for whatever reason, it needs to be Ryan Reynolds deep faked onto this guy's body with the Johnny Bravo hair.
Yeah.
I would
It's
love
something
that.
about that combination.
Yeah.
I mean, his happy Ryan Reynolds face on that fucking roided out chest. You can see the fucking veins on this dude's chest.
This guy was like 3 times the size of a normal guy without roids.
Yeah. So yeah, and he is basically sent there for whatever reason to stop. Why would they ever develop this in the first place? It's so fucking weird, but maybe like a boss or something.
I think Antoine mentioned that he wanted to like capitalize and to just, they wanted to, since Guy was so popular, they wanted to make their own version of it that was like much more roided out and cooler. I think he said something about that.
Yeah.
And then they got halfway through and made it really lazy. And did you also notice how? I mean, he was shirtless, but he had this small tattoo of a T-shirt on his chest.
Yeah, he had the blue T-shirt tattoo on his chest, and he had like red boxer shorts that were pulled up, and you could see that there was like some game over branding on them. But yeah, so he engages Guy and fucks him up basically. He has no chance. But then
another really funny scene I want to touch on here is that when Ryan Reynolds' friend Buddy, he comes in to save him.
Yeah, right.
Just the whole interaction when he's talking and really ecstatic about.
He's getting almost a little bit. Yeah, he's a little bit homoerotic almost. He's like, he's you, but he's so much better.
Yeah.
Oh, and his chest.
Yeah, he keeps like molesting his chest, and then he's so happy when he's being lifted up and just tossed into a light pole. It was freaking funny.
Yeah, so at this point in the movie, it's actually, you've accepted all the weirdness and stuff, and you're just, thinking, okay, this is fun. That last part at least was.
And then Disney flexes their muscles.
Yeah, and it's like, you mean with the weapons and all the references and stuff?
Yeah.
It's like Star Wars, and it's so many things. It's a portal gun.
Yeah, and it starts with him blocking dude's punch with Captain America's
with
shield.
Caps
and then the Avengers music plays, and then you actually see Chris Evans, like apparently watching this stuff, oh, what the shit? That was pretty funny too.
Yeah, that was funny, and that's like you say, that's flexing, that's really flexing.
And then after he gets the Hulk arm, and then after that he gets the lightsaber, and then, here's the sad part. So, Guy gets the lightsaber, the Star Wars music plays as he's fighting off dude with a lightsaber. And you know what's funny and sad at the same time? That fight scene is a better lightsaber fight scene than anything in the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
Do you know how sad that makes me just thinking about that?
No. But probably pretty sad. Maybe we should do like in like 10 years we should do like a revisit of the prequels.
Oh, the prequels? Yeah. Prequels, sure. I'm
because now the prequels are almost getting into the good. I mean, people are more like, yeah, the prequels are good,
Yeah, people have turned around.
So like in 10 years they will be called classics. Did you think?
Yeah, at least to some extent. It's hard to say.
Misa ready for that.
But yeah, Star Wars in 10 years, looking at where that's gonna be very interesting. But
yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I mean, it can only go up, I think.
I hope so. After the sequels, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of the end of the movie where Guy manages to make it to the island. Yeah, and so it like Antoine is now down in the server room of his building, which is, I find also a little bit weird that they keep all the servers there, but okay. They are usually kept in like a cheap to rent location where there are multiple servers, not for one company, but sure, let's say this is a huge company and all the servers are in the basement. And he starts physically destroying the servers, but again, with an axe, which is not too like smart for if you want to have a healthy, good life, without any protection at least. But he axes the servers, and the game world slowly starts to disintegrate.
Yeah.
Like behind Guy, you know, well, as he's running, of course.
Over
which
that
is
bridge.
also not how that works. The assets are like perfectly positioned in, you know, each server that he destroys to kind of make it dramatic. But yeah,
At this point, you know, it's like, you know what? Sure, let's just go with
yeah.
it. The movie
It's
needs
still
to
my,
happen.
you know, yeah, you're just way past that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he gets to the island, and it's all over. Antoine gives up. Millie actually seeks him out in person, and yeah, it ends. They don't really get the Nobel Prize or anything for developing, you know, true generalized AI, which is probably the most significant invention ever.
They probably do later, I guess.
They just sit there, you know, and enjoy the game basically afterwards.
Yeah. And funny thing is, I also like how this is a very small tidbit, but the look of the island when they were on it with those huge spiked ridges and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what that looked like?
I don't know, No Man's Sky or something.
I know. Well, I guess that too, but it looked very much alike the third world of the new Tales of Arise game.
Yeah. Okay.
The biome and the geographics and all of that was like, huh. So they just the paradise
you
is Tales
saying
of
that
Arise.
They stole the code of Tales of Arise.
Yeah.
Is Antoine real? Are you saying this, Steph?
I mean, in the sequel, they're all gonna be cell-shaded anime characters. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay, so to like round this off, this review, it was like the point we made earlier where Millie is like, yeah, I want to be with Guy. Fuck you, Keys.
That was stupid. The fucking old cucking scene, like.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah, and then Guy's like, no, Keys is the real Chad here.
He's the one who
You
made
should follow
me.
him. Yeah, and then she basically realizes in like 1/2 a minute, she like, yeah, okay. So that's how it is. Now I love you.
I'm gonna chase after you to that coffee shop. Be like, I couldn't get
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds, but you're the next best thing that's also in my immediate vicinity. I'll take
Yeah, basically. And now that I'm, you know, rich and famous because I actually co-invented the most significant invention ever,
Yeah.
I can't like get every guy, you know, or at least a lot of guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, some inconsistencies, but it's a fun movie, and you have to suspend your disbelief.
A lot. And I think for parents, this is gonna be a very tough sell. I mean, this is gonna be a very hard thing to get into because it's like it forces the Fortnite generation of gaming culture onto you in a very ham-fisted way, but also
Absolutely.
it just doesn't really work most of the time. And you know, another thing that I thought would have really fixed this would be if it was rated R and they just like went completely bonkers insane, like full on GTA with it. I think that would have helped it a lot. And I think
because that would that would kind of make it more I don't know, of a parody.
Yeah.
Because with the lightness on the violence and sex and stuff, it kind of seems jarringly unreal and unrealistic.
And there's a couple of things in there that we touched upon that really makes it apparent that they wanted maybe to make this rated R at first. Like, for example, the whole cum sock thing. Like,
the cum suck thing is so... I mean, of course, 12-year-old boys will be, you know, they will recognize the cum sock.
Maybe, if they've developed that far.
If they've developed it enough. But, you know, that's the cum sock stage, like 12 to 15, basically. So.
I don't know. I just know that, like, I feel like that's a pretty advanced, nasty joke.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very nice... And to have that, like, a cultural reference, the cum sock, it's...
I just think that if
I don't know where you're Yeah,
And I was
hitting
13,
with that.
and I
you
had
know.
a son that was like 13, 14 years old, and I took him to a movie like this, and they're like, they make that, don't touch that sock, Mom, you're gonna be in therapy for the rest of your life, don't touch it, blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, for fuck's sake, really? I mean, is this... It's just so stupid, you know, I don't
Yeah,
know, it's really out of place, almost.
But yeah, guys, 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10
Yeah.
would.
Sorry
Not
for
recommend.
I know. I mean, there are other better
It's okay.
things on Netflix.
It's
It's
okay.
fine. If you like Ryan Reynolds, watch it. I guess
It's okay. Yeah,
it's worth it for
okay.
the
And it's a
Dune
hit.
scenes.
Yeah, then it would be bad. But it was it's actually a hit, box office hit. So
Yeah.
it's like $318 million.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious what the.
Which is good.
I'm kind of curious what the younger generation that is more in
Thinks,
the target
yeah.
demographic, what they think, because I think that might help. But maybe we're at the point where we just can't relate to this.
Yeah, I think this is the case of that.
But I want to believe a little bit that the next generation has like better humor than this. You know, I want to believe that they have higher standards, and I think they do.
Yeah.
So some of this was just like cringe, flat out. But all the dude scenes, most of the Ryan Reynolds stuff, all that was good. It's worth it for that. The references, especially when dude fights guy, were really good.
Yeah. There was also, let's not forget, there was a Mega Buster reference also, which is like, has there been a Mega Man game now in 10 years?
I am not sure. I think they made the Mighty Number 9 kind of game that was supposed to revitalize, but it flopped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Maybe
that's not for the younger generation, that's for sure.
Yeah, but Dan Gan could probably fill in more on this. I feel like this is more his alley.
This is his area, yeah.
But also, guys, this is clearly a much more tangenty, incoherent, and ranty review than the Dune one, and that's just because I think we watched this movie and it was just like we just gave up on trying to have something coherent.
Yeah, it's not easy to make like a very structured review of this movie.
This was such a step down from Dune in terms of cinematic experience.
yeah, it was a cold shower for sure. But yeah, you heard it here, guys. Watch it, don't watch it. Comment if you'd like us to review another movie.
Yeah, and also if you like this movie, please comment, tell us why, and tell us why we're wrong.
And why we're wrong. Yeah. All right, stay humid.
Stay dank.